Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next one you got on here, Cena versus Punk, Raw 2013.
Oh yeah, that was for me. That was a match that should have probably happened at like a WrestleMania pay-per-view because the story was so Cena won the 2013 Royal Rumble. You know where this is going. So they have the rematch with The Rock, the once in a lifetime. Except
Right.
not okay, once in a lifetime. Okay, twice maybe. Sorry, but they gave I think the stipulation was if Cena loses, he gives up his main event WrestleMania spot. Um, Pretty much a foregone conclusion, but they made the
God
most out of it. They like went a
forbid that
good.
happened.
What happened?
It, no, I'm saying God forbid Cena loses to give up a pay-per-view match, even though I haven't been able to see him in over 10 years.
Yeah,
You can't.
exactly. You can't see me. But the match they had, him and CM Punk on free TV, is like a pay-per-view quality one. Like they pulled out like a lot of different moves in their arsenal. Like Cena did like a sit-out power bomb. I remember toward the end of the match, he did like a Hurricane Rana move. I think it was in Dallas or Houston. Like the place was going nuts. Like I think they went out there completely blank and they called the whole match on the fly in the ring. Cena almost broke his neck during the Hurricane Rana, but the fact that he even like went to do a match like that is like Michael Cole's like, are you kidding me? Like, and a lot of people shit on Cena, like, you've heard the you can't wrestle chants and shit like that, but that match was like Cena just looked right at his critics and says, you know what? You're not going to say shit about me after this match. And I think both guys got a standing ovation afterward. And apparently CM Punk got like a serious fine because toward the end of the match there was this like really worrisome spot where he actually did a spike pile driver, which has been banned from WWE for like a long time. And he pulled it off. I mean, obviously, it's CM Punk, so you don't have to worry about him hurting anybody. But that was that kind of fine is pretty hefty. I think it was I don't know if it was like
Also,
200 there's
also
or like
too,
100,000. It was, but their match was just
I
get a
I,
chance, just
I
look it
kind of
up.
felt. Uh,
No, I'm saying if you get a chance,
no,
look
I
up that
kind of
match. It
felt.
was amazing.
Oh, absolutely. But I also felt like CM Punk, he didn't want to deal with the BS.
No,
It's kind of like why I don't want to say he went his way, but it was kind of why like people had respect for him because he called people like he basically called WWE out on their BS. Like, hey, if you're gonna have a storyline or you're gonna do something or whatever it is, like don't flip flop the script. Don't put it into something that it's really not supposed to be. And then all of a sudden you just think like, oh hey, you're gonna get away with it. I think that's why WWE kind of went their ways with CM Punk.
yeah, he had enough of it, and I think interestingly enough, back to that Cena Rock match. Originally, I think they talked about like that match was. I think one of the ideas on the table was to make that a triple threat match, and CM Punk, in the Colt Cabana's podcast, The Art of Wrestling, he was talking about like, if they had done that, I would have been like, okay, I'm good. I did the main event of WrestleMania. That was like the biggest reason why he considers his WWE run like a total failure. Because, I mean, yeah, he was champion for 434 days, and that's an amazing feat in itself. And very few people will come even close to that. But I mean, there's nothing bigger than being in the final match at WrestleMania. Like I remember on the record, he said that I guess there were people backstage that said to him like, we should have put that match on last. And he's like, you better pay me like I'd went on last. If you pay me like I went
Yeah.
on last, I got no problems. Which, money isn't everything, but to be treated just as the same capacity as the final match, that's still a big deal. It's like, okay, you know what? You still see me as that kind of guy. So maybe it's not. It's like, and there's like other, and he brought up a good point. It's like, you could promote the pay per view
But
that there's four main
do you
events.
think people?
Like, there's one main event, and it's
Oh,
the final match.
absolutely.
The final match. That's what it is. It's
Do you,
always
do you
has been.
do you think people have more respect for him though? Do you think people have more respect for him?
Of course, dude.
Meaning
Like,
like CM Punk, like they have respect for him because it's not the fact that he dealt with the nonsense and this, that, and the other. It was the fact that one, he was a good wrestler, very talented. Like I
of
get it,
course.
he tried doing MMA. I'm not I'm not taking anything away from MMA issues or whatever it was, but it was the fact that he kind of put wrestling on like a little bit of a pinnacle,
Hmm.
meaning like he knew what was going on, but he also knew the nonsense of like, story writing. Okay, this is what's going to happen. And like for some guy to like push back and say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that, this, that, and the other, but do it in like a respectful way or, however he did it. That's why people respect him as a wrestler. It wasn't so good, which he was. It was the fact that like his respect and overall attitude and what he brought, that was something that I personally like.
Yeah, and it got to the point where like he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. He walked out on the company. He had enough, and I think
Right, right.
I don't hate him for that. I think because of the shit we see in today's product, it's like, what, he was onto something. And I feel like I think, based on, his tone of voice in that podcast interview and then how things played out, if he hadn't walked out, do you really think they would have put him put Daniel Bryan into that main event at WrestleMania that year? Like, because it was going to be Batista versus Orton. Like, those guys are Randy Orton's still going,
Like,
but
do you think
but
they would have chased him?
I doubt it. Like,
Do you think he
you
would
know,
have been a chaser of that match?
I feel like they really screwed over Daniel Bryan. I mean, Bryan's not a big dude. He doesn't have the look that Vince McMahon is so in love with, but the Yes movement was the most over thing since Summer with Punk, and they dropped the ball with it. Daniel Bryan's like, okay, I'm done with this shit. Now both
Yeah.
guys are in AEW and they're doing pretty good for themselves.
Yeah. And think about this too. I feel like AEW is not only taken what the WWE failed to do, but it's like, why do you think these wrestlers kind of like move on to that? I think that they've gone to the next chapter, in their wrestling career. It's like there has to be something that people, or not the people, the fans understand it, but there has to be something that the writers are constantly saying, like, are we doing something wrong, or is it something that we're not just doing right? Am I right or wrong for saying that?
No, no, you're right. They only look at it from one scope of the lens, dude. They don't give a shit. Like they want to just do what they think makes sense, but they don't listen to the fans. Like the fans are going apeshit for Daniel Bryan. Oh, let's bring back Batista and put him in the main event with Randy Orton. Let's push Batista as a baby face when everybody boos the shit out of him.
Right, right.
And what was it, Pittsburgh? That I think the Rumble was in. Like they're just like, and I feel like when they boo Roman Reigns or even John Cena, like I don't necessarily think they're booing the guys. They're booing, Vince McMahon's like trying to like push everything down everyone's throat, and they're just sick of it. Like you can't like Conan. I don't know if you ever heard of
Poster
the
boys that he tries.
yeah, the wrestler Conan said it perfectly. It's like you can't make Cena or like Roman Reigns, you can't make them any bigger than they already are. Okay, they're big. They're big. They're like megastars. Now take someone else, like maybe CM Punk, make him a megastar. Now you got three megastars. Build a fourth, fifth, and so on. Like these top level guys, like they're like how much bigger can John Cena get at this point? He's done it, dude. Like, if you want to make occasional
Yeah.
appearances, like,
Like, well, he's
but
just gonna do return and make his check and then walk out the door.
right, like you just need to you need to start investing in the talent you have because they're leaving in droves, whether they leave on their own terms or you decide, I'm going to release you. Like perfect example, Braun Strowman. He was such
Don't
an
get me
over,
wrong, NXT is a great brand.
yeah, because like the guys in their farm system actually have a chance to shine. They don't have to deal with this. I mean, I don't know if they have to deal with the same politics as like Raw and SmackDown, but like they actually have a chance to like showcase their skills without, every so often, oh, Brock Lesnar comes in, he's going to win this title, or Roman Reigns is going to hold your title for 500 plus days. Like they actually have a chance to shine. It's fucking annoying. It really is.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Or it's like, oh, welcome to NXT, special guest John Cena. Oh, I'm taking your title. Goodbye. Like what the like come
Would you
on, dude.
imagine? Would you imagine Oh my god.
But dude, I'm telling you, you have to go on.
That's when people would hang up. God.
You have to go and listen to. Write this shit down now because if you don't, we're gonna forget about it as soon as we end this interview or podcast. It's called
God.
Art of Wrestling. Art of Wrestling
Okay.
226. Episode number 226 with CM Punk.
All right. Wait, we started this together. Art of Wrestling
No, he didn't.
episode.
No, he didn't.
No. I'm saying we talked about it though.
Yeah, we have. Did you actually go through and listen to it?
Episode
No.
226. No, I've
Yeah, dude.
only seen the first like 20, 30 minutes. It's like a 2.5 hour conversation.
Yeah, dude, but it's long as fuck. But he opens up about a lot of shit between his health, how Ryback fucked him up because he botched the table spots. And he actually calls it like us now.
Oh,
Like so
now
first
listen.
I work with Brock Lesnar. Now I'm gonna go work with Ryback. Steroid guy. I'm sorry, I call it like I see it. I fucking died when he said that shit.
I mean, if you didn't think that Ryak was on steroids, there was something wrong with you. If I'm right or wrong, please tell me.
Now when he says feed me
And
more,
I
he's not
follow
talking
the
about
guy
food.
too on Instagram.
I do. Yeah, when he says feed me more,
Yeah,
he's not
trust
talking.
me.
He's not talking about just food.
It's, he's talking about an needle on fucking dude. He was a huge guy.
Yeah, his
Oh man.
his biceps are as big as my quads, and that's scary.
No, like one of his legs or one of his arms, like my entire body.
Yeah.
And you know what, though? I actually loved Ryback. I loved him in WWE, but what they did to him, man, was just like it was pathetic. It was the same thing like Braun Strowman. Shout out
Strowman.
to Braun. I'm wearing his Strowman wears his shirt right now under my Flyers hoodie jersey.
Mm.
Just saying, shout out. Always repping the WWE.
I'm repping. I think I'm repping
But dude,
Batman.
good.
No, I said you're repping that. I'm
Nice,
repping.
nice,
I'm
nice.
repping Batman
All
tonight.
right.
All right. Should we move
The
on to
next one
the?
you got on here is actually is a really, really good one. Is actually Taker Mankind Hell in a Cell. And I actually found out from Mankind from watching the Broken Skull session with Stone Cold on Peacock TV. I found out that that was the match that he wanted Undertaker to become something. Like after that match, like Mankind or Mick Foley basically said he wanted the Undertaker to become this like big star that he was, or he was like turning into, and that was something that was like really really cool to see.
He definitely did. He turned into that big star and more. Excuse me.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's a little kick behind
I
it.
mean, what are your thoughts on the match?
It was brutal. Just anytime I watch the spot of Mankind getting thrown off the cell through the table, I always cringe because below that was not matted ground. That was straight up concrete underneath that shit.
No.
I thought that was like
Oh, I heard he hurt himself.
who Taker. Well, obviously we know Foley did. I think Foley had a tooth coming out of his nose or something.
Man. And then wait, didn't he get thrown to the top of the cell too?
I think they said that was an accident when he
Or
choke slammed him on there. He fell through the top of the cage. I think whacked his
yeah.
head on the canvas. I think he was like legit knocked out. Definitely had a concussion from it, I'm sure. But then Undertaker had a
Whew.
he actually Undertaker was working that match with a broken ankle. Yeah,
I
he
didn't know that.
Taker's had a lot of injuries over year. If you look closely at one of his shoulders, he was in a match with Papa Shango, later known as the Godfather. I think Undertaker was doing his normal old school thing where he walks across the ropes, and Papa Shango in one of the spots pulled him off the rope. I think he came down hard on his shoulder, broke like I think it was like broken clavicle or like rotator cuff. And apparently you could still see if you look closely, there's a little bump on his shoulder where to this day the bone still sticks up from. It's not easy.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy, man.
It's wild, I know.
I mean, I think it's matches like that that kind of like I don't want to say teach us something, but they kind of like have this like iconic moment. Like remember the whole HBK thing, that kind of iconic moment, but I also felt like this whole Mankind Undertaker Hell in a Cell thing had its iconic moment where it just like it meant something to wrestling. It meant something like pull it into what it is today. And it's like I'll say that it like wrapped wrestling in like one short sentence, but it made the WWE kind of like look back and say like that was a match that everyone wanted to see, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those moments that like it's like in football when like there's like the miracle play, like the immaculate reception, or not to sound like a biased Giants fan here, but the helmet catch, like one of those moments that like summarize like this is why I get up and watch this. Come on, dude, you had the fucking miracle at the Meadowlands, all right? I already know that shit. I'm just glad I heard it on the radio and before I actually went back and
Yeah,
watched
we
it.
had like three.
Yeah. Well, I think we
It's
got
good
our
that
Super
good thing
Bowl.
you're not a Deshaun Jackson man.
Yeah, he's a well-known giant killer over the years, but back to your point about like
Yeah.
one of those moments that like
And
summarize it in
unemployed.
a yeah. But back to what you're saying about there's moments where like really symbolize like wrestling like that make it look good. Like think of like Hogan Andre the body slam. Like that's another one of those moments. You were talking about Shawn Michaels when he dives off the ladder to like do the splash onto Razor Ramon, or when Stone Cold he's fighting Bret Hart and he's like Bret Hart has him in like the I think it's like a Boston crab, and he's like you just see like Austin has like the blood running down his face and he passes out. Like that was one of those moments that's like really showed how like Austin had the heart of a champion and he passed out from the pain. He never gave up. That's what really catapulted Austin's career at that point.
Yeah, that was definitely. Listen, if you were to go back and watch that, you can even watch that on, like I said, the Broken Skull session, YouTube, whatever it is. If you
Hmm.
watch the match and you say to yourself, like, "Hey, if there was one of those like top 10 iconic moments of WWE, and someone said that to you, you kind of just like looked at yourself and you were like, oh yeah, like those are the matches that the fans want to see. Those are the matches that like you turn off the TV and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Like you,
Hmm.
you threw your TV on or whatever it was, and you said to yourself, like there was something that we either didn't understand or something that and that's the heartbreaking moment. I would say this that the WWE is missing right now is they're missing those iconic matches that just mean something. Like it
Yeah.
has to have this like I don't know this meaning like you call your best friend up and you're just like what the fuck just happened? Like did you see that? Oh my god, there was something crazy. Now it's just like oh, okay, so and so Roman Reigns did X, Y, and Z, and
Sorry, Roman.
DQ, and well, am I right? Am I wrong? That's what the
No,
WWE right, and it's not. You're not dissing Roman. No, no, it's the problem that the writer that is, you already know what's going on. Oh, well, Roman Reigns is gonna win. Oh, he's gonna get disqualified. Oh, bloodlines. It's like these are the matches that people say like, oh, okay, that's why it happened. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why so and so, got thrown off a fucking, cell and landed on the announce table on concrete. It's like you're not going to see those things, and I'm not saying that people need to sacrifice their body now. No, what I'm saying is there has to be those moments now that the WWE are missing. They are. They're just
storytelling.
bringing right. It's storytelling. And they're just bringing back. Oh, there's Brock Lesnar again. Oh, there's and listen, Brock Lesnar is one of my favorite superstars. I got 6 shirts and a fucking coffee cup saying Brock Lesnar on it. But it's just like we want to see something that that's bringing that iconic moment, and that was it. The Mankind Undertaker Hell in a Cell, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I thought there's been some, recent moments like when McIntyre eliminated Lesnar, like how apeshit the place went. It's like because they always build up Brock Lesnar. He's this
Hey,
unstoppable monster, and he brings legitimacy because he is a fucking MMA fighter, and he really could fuck someone up in a dark alley if they cross him the wrong way. But how many times can you like run that thing over and over? Like, yeah, like you're saying, it's like there's those moments that are like, holy shit. Like TLC at Mania 17, that was one of the big things. Or when Shane McMahon jumps off like the top of a stage to do like an elbow drop, like risks his life. Like those are the moments that
right.
are like holy shit, that just told a story. You know, um, they don't. Yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you, man. Like they need to bring that wow factor back into the fold, and like even like or even another on like it's not on like a lesser moment or not even lesser moment. Like it was one of those when Daniel Bryan won the title, like when the whole yes movement, like New Orleans was going crazy. The end of the Undertaker streak, as much as I didn't like it, that was like a oh my God, like what did I just witness? That was like
Like,
one
what
of
the
the big
fuck
like
just happened, right?
exactly like that had that wow factor. Maybe not in the way we wanted it to, but like it grabbed everybody's attention like real quick.
Right, right.
Yeah, they
All
need
right,
to.
man. I don't know if I was gonna say I don't know if you want to get into these other five that we could save it for another episode, or we could get into it, but we're gonna be a while. It's totally up to you.
I don't mind. Let's go for it. I'll let you do most of the talking on these next few because I know you selected them. Because like, and that's the thing I like about this. Is, like, we're both talking about some of these matches because there's so many matches. It's like, oh, Undertaker Mankind. I'm like, oh yeah, duh, they had a good match. One of the ones where oh, it's funny you said let's talk about the tag team TLC match that Edge and Christian won. I'm like, I think they won both. So I was gonna talk about Mania or SummerSlam. It's like, oops. All right, but I'll let you
All right,
do
so I
the
gotta
first
say
one that
this. I gotta go off the record.
I'm
Good.
listening. I'm listening.
No, so the first one has definitely got to be Rock versus Rock SummerSlam. What was that? 02,
Yeah, that's right. Oh, 2002.
right? All right. So the reason why I bring that up as a match, not an iconic match, but I felt like Rock versus Brock was that match where like people knew The Rock was leaving for Hollywood, but they also felt like everyone was receiving Brock Lesnar. It was basically like, hey, Brock is basically welcoming himself to the WWE.
That was like the
And it
passing of the
felt like
torch
that
moment.
match had right, right. I felt like that match had something to do with like, hey, listen, this guy has been battling nonstop, and he's basically going up against an iconic figure in the to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna have a match against you, and it's gonna be one of those like great. And let's face it, it was a great match, but everyone was voting for Brock because they were kind of pissed off that The Rock kind of moved himself over to the end. He was like pushing himself over to the side, not a bad way. Like I get it, he wanted to go that way because he was basically saying to himself, "Hey, I want to do, this, that, and the other." And people respected him for that. But that match itself, it meant something, you know? By the
Yeah,
way,
and
not to go off the record, but
go ahead.
not to go off the record, but the LA Rams are going to the Super Bowl
I saw it, man. Yeah, I'm just glad it's a fresh matchup. I feel like as much as I don't like Beckham's behavior,
without Tom Brady.
yeah, thank God he's got enough. Again, another example of how much bigger can you make this guy? How much bigger can you make John Cena? How much bigger can you make friggin' Brady? Go home, retire, save some for the rest of the league, will you?
Yeah, like stop, stop. I still can't see you after 10 years.
Yeah, for real though.
Oh, Mike,
But I
I
agree.
see you.
But I totally
Oh,
agree
there
with
you
what you were
are.
saying
All
about
right.
the passing of the torch and Lesnar. I mean, I know Rock had to take a pause and rock bottom Paul Heyman through the announce table. Excuse me, that I burped. That was kind of rude of me, but I don't give a fuck. but he won that match cleanly. He won it in convincing fashion. Like that was the pinnacle of Lesnar. Like Lesnar had an amazing rookie year. For those who haven't followed him in his first WWE run, King of the Ring, youngest undisputed champion in WWE history, Royal Rumble winner, WrestleMania main event. He did amazing. Like, and I think the only person who parallels him, and I know this will come up in one of your next match names. I don't know if it will be next, is when he fought Kurt Angle in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, and actually, ironically, that's the first WrestleMania match where the
Hmm.
two opponents wrestled under their real name.